Good evening. We have been on this crazy roll of what if videos, mainly focusing on princesses and princes or just various characters within a movie and flip-flopping their roles. And I had mentioned in my last video that I might have cut that out. I'm pretty sure I mentioned in my last video that I was going to be diving into a character that is outside of royalty, which I don't think this character is in royalty, to be honest. I didn't do a whole ton of research on it, but apparently the name did originate from the first mates in Moby Dick. I didn't know that, probably honestly, because I never read the book, so I just never really put two and two together. In this video, I thought to myself, what if the Starbucks mermaid were evil? Which, by the way, Starbucks can be a little bit evil sometimes, so maybe it's really not that too far of a stretch. I was looking at the mermaid was looking back at me, and I'm like, you're a little creepy. For next week's video, I will be taking a request from the comment section, so leave your what ifs in the comment section below. It doesn't have to be a prince, it doesn't have to be a princess, or it very well may or could be. Thank you so much for your support on this series, and let me know in the comments below, what are your what ifs? Please do not forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, please feel free to ask me in the comments below. Which, by the way, I said something about the notification bell, but apparently they changed it again. I don't know. Subscribe to this channel, tell YouTube that you love this channel, write them a letter, send it via carrier pigeon, and be off. Colors are green and white. We know this. Anyone who collects pumpkin spice lattes in the months of fall knows this. So I know that I want to keep my mermaid very pale. I do not want to make my skin just straight up white. I do want to incorporate the green into my skin, but I also don't want to make my entire skin tone as a whole green. Like many of my other villains, which is slowly becoming my favorite thing to do, I am going to be stippling on alcohol-based makeup onto my face and body to create my skin tone. And the reason I'm actually liking alcohol-based colors more lately for my skin tone is because it gets more of a translucent color as opposed to water-based colors, which are still wonderful and fantastic, and I use them all the time. And you can also water down your water-activated paints using water to get a more translucent color, but I just feel like the alcohol palettes seep into your skin a little bit more. Whether they technically do or not, probably not. I know that I do like the effect of them more, and I like the way that they break up on my skin so it's not so solid. You don't have alcohol-based paints because they are a little pricey. For any of my characters in which I use alcohol makeup, you can use water-based, just dilute it down a lot with water. All of that being said, because I think I've been talking for probably 5 minutes now, using alcohol-activated makeup, I'm then going to apply a very light skin tone, mainly to the center of my face and the center of my body, but basically everywhere. What's interesting too is that I do not drink coffee. And I don't think it's really a matter of I have enough energy on my own. Whenever I drink coffee, it just makes me feel very, very tired. Like if people are getting coffee in the morning on set or something and they're like, hey Lex, do you want, a cup of coffee? I'm like, no thank you. And in my head I'm like, absolutely not. Giving me coffee is like guaranteed I'm sleeping in like 30 minutes. And you know what? I was laying down the color Ghastly in the alcohol palette, but I'm also gonna put down some actual white throughout my skin. And I know the mermaid probably isn't actually white, but just overall sticking with the theme of colors that we all know. Using it as a reference, if you will. One year, when pumpkin spice lattes came into my life, not that they hadn't been out before, they had been out before, but when pumpkin spice lattes came into my life, I decided that I was gonna have one every single day for the entirety of October. You know what I did? I was sleeping. To be completely 100% fair though, pumpkin spice lattes are not really particularly coffee. They're basically just sugar, which could absolutely be good reason. Did you guys know this was talking about how coffee makes me fall asleep video? Welcome. But to be fair, I've never really had coffee that didn't make me feel either nauseous or just very laggy. I'm then going to be taking Olive Adjuster, which is an olive tone in my alcohol-based palette, dilute it down and apply it more so around the edges of my face and the edges of my body. And I am going to incorporate it throughout my skin, but that's kind of how we're going to start. I'm going to start very light and I'm going to get darker. And the point to my big long coffee story is A, because I'm curious if anybody else in the comments goes through this, and B, when I do go to Starbucks, I get hot chocolate. Which, to be fair, doesn't make me feel the best in the world either, but doesn't knock me out. I'm also going to incorporate some actual green out of my alcohol-based palette, which is going to look a little bright, but that's okay for now. Now, as I was just saying about water activated colors, I'm then going to go in using my normal olive green body paint, which you're going to see is very solid, and I'm going to add it towards the outer edges of my body and the outer edges of my face. As much as I want to keep the base light, I also want to keep the edges dark to imply more evil. As I'm applying the body paints, I'm also adding more of an angular type design to my chest and my neck. That way it appears to be more sharp feeling, which makes a whole lot of sense when I'm saying I'm making something angular, but I just feel like the sharp angles read more evil as opposed to something being rounded. Now here's the tricky part that I want to add to my evil mermaid. And it's not super tricky, it's just very particular. You know what? Let's do our eyes first. I'm then going to prime my eyelids, as well as underneath my eyes. Just kind of this whole area. Also, just in case, for whatever reason, it's bothering anybody nuts that my ears aren't painted. And if you didn't notice and you're noticing now, I'm really sorry. But if you did notice and you're like, why isn't she painting her ears? It's because I have a very special life event coming up very soon, and I cannot have green stuck in my ears for me not seeing the Q-tip in the corner of my ear, and I'm gonna go there with green ear. But my wig will cover it anyway, so it's alright. An olive green eyeshadow, I'm then going to fill in around my eyes, more so concentrating it dripping down. You guys will see why. I think you'll like the concept. I'm stoked. I want this application to be messy. I don't want it to be very pretty, beautiful, super blended out. Just like that. Using black eyeshadow, I'm then going to add it to my lids as well as underneath my eyes, mainly focusing underneath my eyes and kind of dripping it down. Also gonna add this color a little bit dripping from my lip and maybe contour just a very smidge bit, like minimal. I'm then also going to carry that black through my body, just making some general shading spots, not particularly shading in the sense of like highlight contour shading, just adding some darkness to my body. You'll see why in a minute. It's gonna be a base for body paint. I'm talking too much. All right. Using black pencil liner, I'm then going to go ahead and line my eye. Before we add all the other detailing on, of course your favorite part of the video is applying black eyebrows. Black, angry, evil eyebrows. And I'm going to do so using black body paint. Now, one of two things that I wanted for this concept, mainly three things I guess, because I wanted my skin tone to be a little bit green, I wanted to be a little bit white, but I really wanted it to look like my body is dripping this black liquid, like this toxic black looking just poison that just seeps into the sea. So using black body paint, I'm going to make myself look very drippy. On top of that, I also want to add a black pattern kind of going throughout the stripes that we've already established, so I'm going to stipple that on using water activated, my normal regular black body paint. Because it is also very easy to add too much black, I'm just going to do this a very little bit at a time. By the way, just to clarify about my ears, that I'm not painting my ears right now because I don't want to have paint in my ears. It's not that you can't get this paint out of your ears, you absolutely can. It's just that I can't necessarily see all the curves in my ears when I'm using a Q-tip. And could I have somebody else clean my ears? Yeah, I mean, I've had my ma clean my ears in an airport one time. People probably were wondering what was going on, but it had to be done. And for those of you who are asking about how much did the blue stain, because I mentioned in my last video that that particular blue body paint that I use from that particular brand usually has a tendency to stain. It wasn't horrible, but I had some blue pores going on. Nothing in this video stains. I'm also gonna lighten up my nose a little bit just because I think it looks a little too cat-like. Also, yes, I do have paint on my teeth. Not concerned about it because I'm going to be putting more paint on my teeth, which what I was going to say was I'm going to put in my contacts, which is gonna take me probably a solid 15 minutes because they're the larger ones. Now, like several of my characters, I'm also going to be using alcohol-based paint to paint my teeth black to make them pointed. Reason I don't really use dentures that much, which I have tons of dentures by the way, is because when you put them in, your gums go like this. And I'm not trying to look like a who, I'm trying to look like a scary, polluted mermaid. So that's why in recent tutorials you see me painting my teeth pointed like this a lot because really it's the easiest and most comfortable way to make your teeth pointed. If you want to throw dentures in, by all means, make your own, mold them to your teeth. It's just that your gums are gonna be a little, which isn't a bad thing. It's just not the style I'm going for. I'm also going to put on some fake lashes after I get my huge contacts in and throw on my wig. Now, in addition to all these things, of making this look come together, I also created pieces to go behind me for my two-tailed mermaid. Those pieces are just made out of cardboard and painted. I also made a little crown, also made out of cardboard and just painted. That is not black. Oh, so scary with my cup filled with poison. Two things ended up changing towards the end for my original concept. I originally was going to have a green wig, but my green wig ended up being more blue-green than olive green. I didn't think it looked right. I went with white. Second, she was originally going to have both of these lenses in, but it turns out that my left eye is like, you know what? No, not today. Which, to be honest, although I wanted her to look more vicious, she actually looks more a little bit crazy. Like maybe she had a little bit too much coffee. I actually feel like having the two separate contacts gives off more of a Mad Hatter type vibe. Which actually, you know what? I think I kind of like with this character. Thank you for all the support with this series. I really appreciate it, and welcome to everyone that is new to this channel. You will love us.